Great. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so let's start. Sorry for this confusion in the beginning, but today was really busy and hectic, and we almost forget about this lecture, but we are back here. We have to drive everyone to the hotel and give them the rooms and dinner and all. So that's why. But anyway, hello everyone, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Karen, for joining these lectures and conducting with us. This is the lecture 23, and Karen Odell is a Healing Touch certified practitioner. Today's lecture is the basic of sensing the human through the Healing Touch program. Now I can give the floor to Karen.
Hi everybody, it's great to be here. Good to see you all. To do a brief overview. The last lecture we learned about the main chakra centers and the energy fields that surround the body that are generated by these chakra centers. And I'll share my screen here so we can see a picture of those. Here we go. So the last lecture we discussed the basic composition and function of the human energy system, which included the 7 major chakras, those being the root, the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, brow, and crown. We also viewed the energy bodies or auric fields that these chakras generate. So there are 7 layers to the auric field, and each chakra generates a layer, beginning with the root chakra, which generates the closest layer to the body, which is the etheric field. So today, we're going to learn a few techniques on sensing the energy system. We all know that Dr. KOROTKOV's BioWell camera allows us to view and measure the system, but if we don't have the camera handy, how else can we actually interact and sense this system? So there are a few different ways of doing so. The system can be sensed with pendulums. We can sense it through our hands. We can also have an idea or just a knowing when we sense the system. We can experience different scents and aromas as we sense the system. We may also experience different tastes in our mouth, or you may hear the system, or you may even be able to see the energy system. So one of the ways that we'll go over first is pendulums. So if we use a pendulum as a tool to sense the energy system, then what we want to do is we simply bring the pendulum up over one of the chakra centers. And when it begins to move, if it begins to move, we can see the flow of that energy field. Right now, the chakra in the palm of my hand is nice and open. You can see the pendulum rotating in a clockwise position. So I'll show you that real quick. So if I hold the pendulum up over the palm of my hand, and all I'm doing is setting the intention for the pendulum to flow with the field. So this shows me that the chakra is nice and open in my hand, that the energy is flowing, and the pendulum is moving in a clockwise motion. This is a nice, healthy flow of energy. To see all of the chakra centers. Rotation. If there's no movement at all of the chakra, it's me a pendulum. If it is completely still, that means the energy is congested. For whatever reason, there's no energy flowing through that center. If the pendulum moves in a horizontal direction or vertical or a backwards circle, this indicates indicates a congestion in the field or some kind of compromise in that chakra or energy field. Is a great tool for sensing the flow of the energy, especially if we have not practiced or developed our sense with our hands. Another way we can sense the energy is through our hands. So it takes some practice. Some people have a natural ability to feel those energies. One way in which we can practice with using our hands is to run down our own system and pay attention and be mindful of any sensations we feel. So we could start with the crown and just hover our hands over our head and see and try to sense what we feel. There are different feelings that you can experience when you're sensing the energy with your hands. You may feel a tingling on the palm of your hands. You may feel heat. You may feel cold, or you could feel spikes. A lot of times if someone is in pain with a migraine or has an injury, if you hold your hand over that area, you will feel a disturbance such as heat, tingling. Migraines present as a poking into the hand. It feels like there's a spike coming out of the person's head. Sensations that we can detect with our hands. And the trick is to be mindful. The more we practice using our hands to sense the energy, the more developed that ability will become. Does anybody have any questions about pendulums or hands? Okay, so we'll move on then, and we'll talk a little bit about sensing with our eyes. Many people are able to see the colors of the chakras and the energy. Any questions? Okay, so many people are able to see the colors of chakra, and many people are also able to see the energy coming off the body in waves. A lot of times what this will present as is a shimmer around the body. We've all experienced those hot summer days where we can literally see the heat waves coming off of the pavement on a road. And this is similar to what the energy system around the body looks like. You'll see those waves of energy come out. The more we practice trying to see the energy, the stronger it will become. Tatiana has some great techniques on seeing the aura. So yeah, she's got some really awesome ones. So if you attend Tatiana's lectures, you'll get some great tips from her on how to see that aura and how to develop that sense. Also, let's put the screen share back up here. Besides using our eyes and our hands for the sense of touch and sight, many people also hear the energy. It may come across as a crackling or a static sound or a buzzing. So what the important thing here in trying to sense this energy is being mindful of it and just allowing it to come in. We don't want to try too hard. This is more of a passive experience where we just allow this. We allow to receive this energy and to sense it. So we don't want to try too hard or force anything. Nothing is ever done with force. Excuse me. When we examine the characteristics of the chakras, this includes the color, the rotation, the diameter, and the speed or the intensity. So if we're using a pendulum, we're going to make note of what direction the pendulum is moving, so we know if the chakra center is open and which way that energy is flowing. So we want to make note of the rotation of the pendulum, the diameter of the circle that it's making, and the speed or intensity with which it is moving. All of these things give us an idea of what that particular energy center is doing. When we examine the characteristics of the energy bodies that surround the physical body, we're looking at things like hot, cold, spikes, tingling, how dense the field is. Sometimes if you run your hands over someone's field, it may feel very dense, like sludge, like very thick. If this is the case and something like that is sensed, then obviously there is a lot of debris in the field, and it would be best suited to clean the debris out of the field. There are many different techniques that the Healing Touch program teaches on how to clean our energy system and get any debris or anything that does not serve our greater good out of our system so that energy is flowing smoothly. The Healing Touch program teaches many different biofield therapy techniques. In these techniques, practitioners consciously use their hands in a heart-centered and intentional way to support and facilitate physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health. Intention is the key here. The intentions that we hold color our energy, meaning that if we are in an emotional state of joy, of gratitude, and love, this raises the vibrational frequencies of our energy system, and it facilitates improved health and healing. If we are in a bad mood, or angry, or sad, this also changes the vibrational frequencies of our energies. So it's very important to be mindful of your intentions and your mood, especially when trying to sense these energies. So Healing Touch uses the gift of touch to influence the human energy system, specifically the energy field that surrounds the body and the energy centers that control the flow from the energy field to the physical body. When we use these techniques, they're very non-invasive. They employ the hands to clear, energize, and balance the human energy system and environmental energies, and this affects physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. The techniques used are based on a heart-centered, caring relationship in which the practitioner and the client come together energetically to facilitate the client's health and healing. When an energy therapy practitioner is providing a treatment, they are providing that intention of healing and of gratitude. This intention that the practitioner holds raises the vibrational frequencies of the energy and delivers that energy to the client. When the client receives these energies, their body takes the energy and does what it needs to with it. The body is smarter than the practitioner. The energy is smarter than the practitioner. It knows where it needs to go. So as a practitioner, our job is to hold the intention to raise that frequency and deliver that energy to our clients so their body can self-heal. And the goal of Healing Touch is to restore the balance to the energy system by placing the client in this position to self-heal. Once again, the most important aspect of energy therapy is intention. When your intent is in accordance with the universe, things start happening. When we commit to something as a human in our minds and hearts, the universe conspires to make it happen. So it is very important that when we're working with someone and we're working with ourselves, we promote that intention of love, of gratitude, and healing. There is an abundance of supporting research for the effects of intention on human physiology, some of which include McCready, Atkinson, Tomasino, and Tiller. who found that heart-centered energy intentionally emitted by the heart of one individual can be detected and measured on the body surface of another individual in close proximity, even if they're not touching. So basically, these researchers found that when one person is intentionally sending emotions of gratitude and love to another, they were able to physically see an energy cloud being emitted from one heart and being received by the recipient. In other experiments by Jane et al., they explored the effects of BioField treatment versus mock treatment on symptoms of fatigue and pain in a group of breast cancer survivors. The mock practitioners, they did the proper hand placements and sequences on the body of a healing touch treatment. However, they were instructed to think of only themselves. So while the mock practitioners were providing a fake treatment, they were only thinking of themselves and what they wanted to do that day, if they had something in the oven, what they wanted for dinner, but they were not setting any intention whatsoever of love, of gratitude, or healing for the client. Then they compared the mock treatment to the real BioField treatment, where the practitioner actually developed the intention of healing and love for their client and directed that energy to them. What they found were significant decreases in cortisol levels between the BioField treatment group and the mock treatment group, with the actual real treatment group displaying a significant decrease in these cortisol levels, which could not be accounted for through any kind of client-practitioner relationship or other non-specific variables. So we found that the evidence for our intentions and the effect they have on physiology are very real. To eliminate the variable of client-practitioner relationship having a beneficial effect, there were energy therapy treatments, experiments done on mice. These mice were injected with breast cancer cells, and the healing touch practitioner came in and provided a treatment on the mice. The mice were in a cage. The cage was covered. The practitioner had no physical contact with the mice. She did not speak, and the mice's cage was covered, so they could not see her there. The results found significant increases in the groups of mice that were untreated compared to significant decreases in cortisol levels of the mice that were treated with energy therapy. So we found that energy therapy does indeed affect a significant change in physiology, and the variable of practitioner-client relationship has no effect on this exchange of energies. Does anybody have any questions at all over what we've gone over so far? Okay. So there are techniques that the energy healing teaches to place us in that specific emotional state that we need to be in to deliver an energy therapy treatment. There are 3 steps to preparing for this, and it's called grounding, centering, and attuning. When we ground, we're connecting to the earth and to our own physical bodies. So what we're done is visualizing that we are firmly rooted into the earth, with our feet becoming roots that extend down into the core of the earth. And we're visualizing receiving that energy, the earth's energy. It's never a taking, it's always a receiving, because this energy is always there for us to be received. So we allow ourselves to open up and receive this energy when we ground. When we center, we're becoming fully present in the moment. So the act of centering is encouraging us to be mindful of where we are and being fully in the present. We clear the ego And we connect to the higher self through focusing on the breath and the heart. So we focus our intentions in the heart, and we inhale through the heart and breathe in the divine flow of energy. When we exhale, we release all the distractions and things that don't serve our greater good. After we've centered ourselves and we've put ourselves in the proper intention and we're heart-centered, then we attune. If we're providing a treatment for ourselves, we're going to attune to our own bodies. If we're providing a treatment for another, then we're going to attune to their energy system. This can be done through light physical touch, like placing the hands on your feet or on your shoulders. And what we do is we intend the sensing of our own field, or we set the intention of blending our energy field with that of another. This allows us to experience their energy system and to detect any compromises that may be in the system with another or with ourselves. Once we're in the proper state and we have grounded, centered, and attuned, then we can begin our therapies. There are a few different types of basic biofield therapy techniques, which include magnetic passes, hands still, magnetic passes, hands in motion, and a chakra connection. When we do magnetic passes, what we're doing is simply going down the body of the individual. So our first magnetic passes that we do, we're going to run our hands over the body, and we're going to be mindful of any sensations that we feel. So if we feel heat in a certain area, if we feel or cold, this could mean a compromise, balance. When we run our hands along an energy system that is good and healthy and flowing smoothly, we'll feel a very light, smooth evenness around the system. We won't feel like we're running our hands through sludge. There won't be any sharp spikes or heat or tingles. It'll have a very even, smooth feel to it. So that's why we want to take note of any kind of differences we would feel in that field and remember where they are so we can go back and fix those. Okay. So when we do magnetic passes for the first time, like I said, we're just looking for any disturbances, anything odd in the field. Then we note those disturbances and we can go back and clear them with another set of magnetic passes. When we do the magnetic passes to clear out a disturbance in the field, we set our intention to clear out anything that doesn't serve our greater good. So if I had a migraine, for example, and I had a spike coming out, say it was over here on this side of my head, I would feel that spike, and I would feel probably a heat and a tingling under the palm of my hand. To alleviate this, we can envision that the energy from our hands extends far from our fingertips, maybe by even a few feet or so. And then we can run that over the area, and we imagine that energy as a beautiful blue light coming out of our fingertips and gathering everything, any kind of debris in the field that doesn't serve. And we bring that all the way down the body and clear it out off of the feet. We would start with the crown, gathering up any debris that doesn't serve, and bring it off all the way down the body and off of the feet. We would do that on the right side of the body, the center, and the left. So we have an even clearing of the system. You can start on the right or the left. It doesn't matter which side you begin on. Most people like to begin on a side if they feel the disturbance. They'll begin there. The general rule to doing the magnetic passes is try to do 3 clearings on each side. So we begin with the crown on the right side, and we want to begin just a little bit above our head at the individuation point. The individuation point meets the universal field or the divine. So we would start here and we would clear, beginning on one side down the body. We would use both hands and bring it down very slowly as we collect that debris and pull it off of the feet. So we would do 3 times down the right, 3 down the center, and 3 down the left. This 3 is a very minimal amount. You may find that it will clear out after 3, or it may not. If it doesn't, then we would do more, and we would continue doing the magnetic passes, hands in motion, to clear it out until that field starts to feel nice and smooth and we don't feel those spikes and tingling anymore. A general rule is if we want to do a complete cleanse on our system, we do as many passes as we are old. So if we're 30 years old, we're going to do 30 passes altogether over our system to clean it out. Then we have magnetic passes, hands still. If there's an area of the body that is particularly compromised, we can focus our hands over that area to deliver the energy. And we'll leave our hands there until we feel like and get a knowing that that area is good and doesn't need any more. You will sense that it's okay and that it has cleared up when you're doing this. So, excuse me. So as we run the hands over the body, or we stay centered in one area to clear it out, we'll start feeling a change in the system. We'll feel that lightening of the field. We'll feel less heat and less tingling in our hands. Another great technique to promote a smooth, even flow through the energy system is a chakra connection. The chakra connection is used to connect, open, and balance the energy centers and facilitate the flow of energy in the body. When we do a self-chakra connection, before we do any type of energy therapy treatments, it's important to ground, center, and attune, like I have shown you, so that we're in the proper state of mind to condition that energy to the highest vibrational frequency possible. When we begin the self-chakra connection, we want to start at our feet. So we've already properly grounded, centered, and attuned. Now we're prepared to provide a treatment for ourselves. So we begin with the right foot, and we're going to place one hand on top of the foot and one hand on the sole of the foot. Our intention when placing the hands on the foot is to open up that energy field. We want to open that foot chakra and get the energy flowing in a nice, smooth, even manner. We'll hold our hands on the foot like this until we feel like that energy is flowing. Once we feel and we know that our energy is flowing good, then we're going to keep one hand on the ankle and bring another hand up to the knee, as you see in picture 2. Our intention here is to bring that energy flow up from the foot to the knee. So we're connecting the energy that we're receiving in our feet up to our knee. This can be visualized as a brilliant, soft blue light coming up our foot to our knee and filling our calf with a nice, even glowing energy flow. Once we've sensed that that energy flow is established through the shin and calf, then we would keep one hand on the knee and move another hand up to our hip, like we see in picture 3. So what we're doing is we're working our way up our body to connect each chakra center and establish a nice, smooth flow of energy. Once we've worked up the right leg, then we're going to repeat those steps on our left leg. So we would begin at the foot, to the ankle and knee, the knee and the hip. Once we have worked our way up both of our legs, then we're going to place each hand visualize the energy running between our hips, filling our abdominal cavity with a nice smooth flow of energy. Once we feel that that energy flow is established and nice and smooth, then we will move to our root and sacral chakras. One hand would be held over the root chakra, which is just below the perineum. The other hand would be held over the sacral chakra, which is about 2 inches below the navel. We would envision bringing that energy, receiving it into our root chakra, and we would envision our root chakra glowing a brilliant red and filling with that energy in a nice smooth flow. And then that brilliant red and the energy in the root travels up to our sacral chakra, where it begins to fill with energy in a bright orange color. Then we can envision the spinning of these chakras, spinning gently in a beautiful clockwise motion. Then we would want to move our hand up to our solar plexus chakra. So with one hand on our sacral chakra and one hand on the solar plexus, we envision the flow of energy between our sacral and solar plexus, receiving and allowing that energy to come into the solar plexus chakra, which glows a brilliant yellow. And we see that spinning in a clockwise motion. Then we'll keep one hand on the solar plexus and move the next hand to our heart chakra, as you see in picture 9. So once again, we're envisioning that energy coming up the body, flowing into the heart, where it begins to glow a brilliant green and rotate in a clockwise fashion. Once we've connected the solar plexus and the heart, then we move our hand to the high heart, which can be felt directly above where the heart is. So then we're connecting the heart with the high heart. Once we feel that that is established, then we're going to move up again. First we're going to do our wrists. So we've got the heart and high heart. Then we're going to go to our arms. So we've done our legs, we've done our trunk. Then we go to our arms. We're going to hold both wrists, and we're going to open our hands and our wrist chakras. Once we feel that those are flowing, then we're going to move to our elbows, as you see in number 12. And we're going to open the chakras in the elbow joints. Then we'll move to our shoulders to give ourselves a hug. We'll envision that energy flowing from shoulder to shoulder and across our chest cavity and heart and high heart chakras. Once we feel that we have opened that up, then we'll go back to the high heart chakra with one hand and the throat chakra with the other, as you see in picture 14. So one hand will be held over the high heart, the other over the throat chakra, and we establish that connection between the two. We envision that throat chakra filling with energy and growing and glowing in that brilliant blue. Then we will move to the throat and the brow chakra. Once again, we establish that energy flow. We see that glow. Once we've established that flow, then we're going to do our brow and crown and establish the flow from the third eye to the crown chakra, which will be glowing that brilliant purple. Once we feel that that flow is established, then we go from our crown to the transpersonal point, where our energy joins with the energy of the environment and the universal energies around us. These are all of the steps to complete the chakra connection. Once we have worked our way up our body, or our client's body if we're helping out someone else, then we hold that space. So we've established a great connection now between all the energy centers in our body. We've filled our chakras with energy. We've envisioned them spinning in a brilliant clockwise motion. Now we're going to take a moment to hold that space around our bodies and to just experience that feeling. Once we're done with this and we feel like we've had enough, then we can go ahead and ground ourselves again. This is very important to do a grounding after we do any kind of energy treatment or chakra connection on ourselves or on a client, because when we're doing an energy treatment, we're opening ourselves up to the energies and the universal energies to receive them. This can have an effect of putting us maybe a little bit out in the ozone. So to be able to be grounded again and centered here in the physical plane, we go through our grounding again. We envision our feet growing roots and extending down into the earth, receiving that energy and becoming present in the physical moment once again. So we feel energized and present and coherent. So there are many different effects we can expect by working with the energy system, and these effects can be viewed through Dr. KOROTKOV's BioWell device. We know that the energy therapy works because we can feel a difference in our bodies. Where there was pain, it's now gone. Where we were depleted of energy, we'll now feel energized, we'll be in a better mood, and we can feel these changes, but it's great to be able to see them, to have that scientific backing that something, yes, actually changed in the physiology. So the BioWell camera comes in really handy for this one. Personally, as an energy therapy practitioner, the way I provide my treatments for clients is when they come in, we will do a BioField scan first to see where their energy system is. This gives me an idea of how full the chakras are, if there's compromises in the system, if their field is nice and full. You know, of course, we want to see that nice full blue field around the body. We don't want to see any breaks in that field. So I do a scan of my client before the treatment, and then I'll provide a treatment to my client, and then I'll do another scan after the treatment so they can see the changes in their system. Most of the time what I'll find is that the energy system is really beefed up, meaning that where there were holes in the field, those holes are now sealed, and the energy shows a nice, even, smooth flow around the body. Many times I will find that the chakras become fuller and are better aligned in the center of the body. However, if someone comes in and they have some emotional issues that they're working through, for example, we may find that the chakras are aligned before the treatment, but after the treatment, the chakras are totally blown. They're just everywhere, all over the board. The reason for this is because we've brought those emotional issues to the surface during the treatment to be dealt with. So many times we'll see that, yeah, the chakras went from being lined up to being totally blown. And what this means is, like I said, we've brought those issues to the surface to where they can be dealt with and resolved now. Once we work through the issues, then we can do another scan and we'll see that the chakras have gone back into alignment. So there are many different results we can get from doing a treatment, but the one generalization that I can make from treatments across the board is that when I provide an energy treatment to myself or a client, it increases my energy. It increases my health status energy as displayed on the health status wheel by the BioWell. It also increases my energy reserves, and it increases the balance in the system overall. So the BioWell is a great tool for actually having the scientific backing and the visual of the changes that the physiology is undergoing. So, does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, I had a question about how the chakras rotate. So if we're holding the pendulum above it, we want to see a clockwise motion out. So let's see if my hand's still open. Yes, it is. So I'm looking, oh, it's a little different now. Not quite as open. Well, there we go. Little bit of a vertical spin now. But what we're looking for is when we hold it above, we want it to go, I'm going to move it now by myself here so I can show you how it should move. We want it to go in a nice clockwise flow this way. So if we're hovering it over our system, let's see, we want to see it go clockwise out from the body. There we go. So we want to see that nice circle there. So it's a clockwise out. So if we're holding it over a hand, we're going to want to see it move this way, just clockwise. If it's moving the other way, it could indicate a compromise, and we'd want to work with that field to open it up and get a flow established. Are there any other questions from anyone?
Yes, Karen. There's another system, well, a similar system where you catch the field of the body and expand it out and then put it back in. Have you worked with that or experienced it?
Yes. In the Healing Touch teachings, in the Healing Touch program, we refer to this as a chakra spread. So this is a little bit more of an advanced technique. And what we do in the chakra spread is we're intending to open those chakras to where they're really full and just totally expanded. So the intention here is to fully open those chakras, spread them out to where they can receive all the universal energy. This usually has a great relaxing effect. I personally love the chakra spread. It's one of my favorite treatments to receive because it gives you the feeling of being more connected with the universal energies. So it promotes that connection with the universal energies. It promotes that information exchange from the universal energies as well. You will find after you have a chakra spread treatment, your cognitive function is greatly improved. If we don't ground ourselves after a chakra spread, we'll be way off in the ozone because this is opening up everything. So yeah, when we do the chakra spread, it's very important to close them again. So we go through all the chakras, the main ones, the main 7. We open them up, we spread them, we receive that energy, and then we go back over and we close them. Because we don't want to walk around, you know, in that open state. Because when we're all opened up like that, we're not only receiving that influx of the universal energies, we're also receiving everyone else's. So in that sense, you know, depending on what mood that person's in, we may not want to experience their energy. So it is very important to close them again and to ground ourselves once again. But yes, the chakra spread is an amazing experience, and it's a really good one for clearing system, for balancing emotion and physiology as well. It's a great one for people that are having some emotional issues, maybe anger, depression. It helps to settle and balance that system and put them in a better state psychologically. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from anyone? Okay. Let's see, I'll check the chat real quick here. Okay, I don't see anything else in chat. So that's all I have for us today. And on my final lecture, the third and final one, which will be determined, date to be determined, yes, I will go a little more in depth over some more healing touch techniques and therapies that we can learn to help facilitate self-healing. But like I said, these couple that I've gone over today, the magnetic passes, hands still, magnetic passes, hands in motion, and the chakra connection are the three basics that we start with, and they are also very powerful. This is why we start with these three basic techniques, because everything else that we learn in healing touch is a variation of the magnetic passes and the magnetic clearing. So we learn these first because these are the foundation and they're the most powerful as far as being able to deliver that energy. And then everything else stems from there. So yes, in the next one, I'll go a little more in depth on a little more advanced techniques for helping us to clear and balance our energy systems. And then if you have a BioWell, I strongly suggest that you start experimenting with it in this way because it is a lot of fun. I love to do a reading, a BioWell scan on myself and then do a self-treatment and then do another scan. It's just so much fun to see the differences that appear in the energy system as a result. And it's a great tool to have to be able to actually see the science behind it and see the evidence and the physical changes that are taking place as a result of manipulation of energy fields. So yeah, that's all I have for today. And I really appreciate you guys coming. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
See everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye, Karen.
Bye. See you later. Take care.
Thank you for inviting me, Karen.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming, Pia.
Always nice to hear you.
Good to hear you.
Take
Pia.
care.
Hey, Karen. Nice to see you both.
Hey, good to see
Hey,
you.
Lisa.
Bye.
Well, I'll let you guys go. Thank you for the invite. And it's always nice to have confirmation on energy healing. Hey, have you ever heard of powwow healing?
Oh, wow. No, I haven't.
Sorry. That's one of the energy forms of healing that I do that comes from Pennsylvania. It's a Pennsylvanian Dutch type of healing that uses whisper as the vibration to basically heal.
Ooh. So the voice is conveying the energy, you're whispering?
The whisper, well, what I think, they use a lot of psalms. They use verses out of the books, various books of Moses. And what I really think that the whisper does is it doesn't have to be like the Bible verses, so to speak, themselves, but it's the vibration generated from the whisper plus the intonation of whatever the psalm you're using. Like one of the ones I use is hair and hide, flesh and blood, no, nerve and bone, no more pain than the stone. And I basically do the same thing with drawing the owies off of people and throwing it to the ground.
Nice.
So yeah, so I just
Yeah, I was there for that. You did that with me. You used the dragon's prayer on me for like my back once.
That's right. And that's the way that I work some kinds of healings, but there's other ways too. And it's always nice to hear what your other people think on the same thing. Does that make sense, guys?
It does, because what you're describing is just a different way of conditioning the energy, of putting that intention into it and raising that vibration. You're doing it through breath and whisper, but you're also doing it through your intention. So yeah, it's really cool to see all the different ways that you can experience that and that you can condition the energy. So yeah, that's really neat.
What's interesting is that like all of this like super ties in together, like in the way that Pia had done hers. It's really closely aligns with this way of healing called like talking out fire, which is found in Eastern North Carolina, the Appalachians along with the Ozarks where you're at, Karen. Like the thing in common is that they all say something kind of underneath their breath. There's normally some kind of Christian or Bible like emphasis, but not necessarily. And the whole like not laying on hands, but not laying on hands. But there's like, despite them all being separated by like very like isolated communities, there's these common threads of like how it works that also ties into clinical hypnosis, that also ties into energy healing. Like that's
Yeah, it's really interesting, and the more research they do, the more they're finding how many different ways there are to influence this energy, but they're coming from one general realization is that it's all being generated from our intentions.
Exactly. And another cool thing is right now I'm taking the nutrition's perspective in Ayurvedic medicine class as one of my final classes. So at the same time, I'm also learning the Ayurvedic philosophy to energy and the various meridians that that we all basically, well, I intuitively see, but you know what I mean.
Yes. And have you read anything on the premovascular system yet?
In Ayurvedic medicine?
Yes. Well, it's a new discovery. It's very new. You can Google premovascular system. And what they found, okay, generally when we were examining cells in a lab, we would splice, like if we wanted to do brain research, what we're doing is cutting the brain up into these tiny thin layers so that we can look at it under a microscope, right? So we're slicing very thin layers off of the brain or off of whatever tissue we're examining to put that under a microscope. Well, what scientists have found is that when they cut into those tissues and slice them up and piece them apart, they're cutting out the premovascular system. So they've been destroying it every time. So they haven't been able to see it. Well, one scientist got the bright idea, hey, why don't we examine it as a whole instead of cutting it up into pieces? So they look at it as a whole, and what they found was the premovascular system. They're finding all of these threads that come out of the cells that correspond and connect physiology with energy. So these are the connectors between our physical system and our energy system. And it's called the premovascular system. And it's some amazing research. So yeah, all it took was one scientist to go, hey, why don't we look at it as a whole and stop cutting it up to look at it? And then they found it. Because yeah, they found what they were doing was they were destroying those fine energetic threads that come out of the cells when they cut it. So yeah, Google premovascular system. It's some really awesome stuff.
Definitely.
Kind of like along the meridians too.
One thing that I didn't want to speak up during the class about using the pendulum. I use pendulums for all kinds of stuff. I ended up having to basically stop using pendulums because I found that I can will it.
Yes.
And that is something that I don't think I could use on working on somebody because of.
Okay, now one way to get rid of that, because yeah, you can will it. You can totally make it spin whatever you want. I mean, if I sit here and hold this and I go straight back and forth, go vertical. I'm not moving my hand, but it's going to go vertical because that's my intention. So that's the energy I'm sending into it. You see, I'm not moving my hand, but it's going vertical. So yes, I can control the flow of this just by intention alone. However, if I want a true reading, then what I'm going to say is, show me what it's doing. Show me what it's doing. I'm not intending anything. I'm just asking it, show me what it's doing. See, and now the field has changed in my hand. It's not as open anymore. It's going back and forth. Now, if I tell it, go in a circle, I want you to go in a circle, go in a circle. See, now it's going in a circle because I put my intention on it. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so the best way to do that is you really got to be mindful of that and not let what you want to that suggestion out there. Show me what it's doing. Don't show me what I want to see. Show me what is.
I'm going to try that because it's irked me forever, you know, that I can't use pendulums because I change what it does, not the universe.
Right.
All right.
So try that one. That might work for you to set that intention of show me what it's doing and leave your mind open because you don't know what it's doing, right? You have no idea. So allow that feeling of it's going to be a surprise because I don't know. And it's going to show me. And that might help you get a truer reading with your pendulum.
Well, thank you very much. And I didn't want to sound a little flaky, but you know.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. And that's a really good point to bring up. And I will bring that up in the third lecture about, you know, that the pendulum will move with your intentions. So you want to set that intention of show me what is, not what I want. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play with that and see if it does change. Okay, well, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to your lecture. You're awesome.
Thanks for coming. And I hope it was some useful information for you guys.
It was. So
Awesome.
I'm going to let you go, but
All right.
we need to talk more often, Lisa included.
All right. Well, yeah, well, thanks a lot. And it's good to see you guys. And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon.
All righty. Bye.
Karen, this is Ariel. I thought it was 11 a.m. Pacific.
Oh, sorry. That's okay.
I didn't read it carefully. I'm so sorry I missed it.
That's okay. No problem.
The next one.
Yeah, we went over.
Hi.